It was supposed to be just another quiet evening in a small high-end hotel tucked away on the edge of the city. The kind of place that boasted about exclusive clientele, where money talked louder than anything else. But for Marcus Williams, this night would become a test of patience, dignity, and justice. Marcus was in his late 30s, a tall, well-dressed man with a calm presence. He carried himself with quiet confidence, the kind of confidence earned through years of hard work. He wasn't flashy, but his tailored suit, polished shoes, and neatly trimmed beard spoke volumes about the man he was. Focused, disciplined, and successful. After a long business trip, Marcus simply wanted a room. Just a bed to rest his head. But what he walked into was something much darker. The lobby was warm and glowing, filled with polished marble floors and chandeliers that dripped with wealth. Guests in designer coats checked in with ease, greeted by smiles and glasses of complimentary champagne. But when Marcus approached the counter, everything shifted. Behind the desk stood Clara Benson, the hotel manager. Mid-40s, sharp blazer, blonde hair tied in a tight bun, and a smile that could cut glass. But the moment her eyes landed on Marcus, that smile faded. "Yes," she said, her tone flat. "I'd like to book a room," Marcus replied politely, placing his credit card and ID on the counter. Clara didn't even look down at them. Instead, she narrowed her eyes. "I'm sorry, sir, but we're fully booked tonight." Marcus glanced around the lobby. A couple had just checked in minutes ago. A bellhop wheeled in empty luggage carts, clearly preparing for more arrivals. "Fully booked?" Marcus asked calmly. "Your website says you still have vacancies." Clara stiffened. "I assure you we don't. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a motel down the street." The words stung. Not because Marcus hadn't heard them before, but because he knew exactly what they meant. She wasn't turning him away because the hotel was full. She was turning him away because of the color of his skin. As Marcus stood there, debating whether to push further, a young receptionist glanced nervously at him from the corner. Her name tag read Emily. She looked barely 20, with soft features and anxious eyes. When Clara walked away briefly to take a call, Emily leaned closer. "Sir, we do have rooms," she whispered. "Plenty, actually." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Then why?" Emily swallowed hard, cutting him off. "Please. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say more." Before Marcus could ask another question, Clara returned, her heels clicking like warning shots across the marble. "Sir, as I said," Clara said coldly, "we're at capacity. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have real guests to attend to." Marcus could have walked away. He could have accepted the humiliation quietly and found another hotel. But he didn't. Instead, he calmly collected his card and ID, slipped them back into his wallet, and smiled. "Very well," he said softly. "I'll make some calls." Clara smirked, clearly satisfied that she had put him in his place. But what Clara didn't know was that Marcus Williams wasn't just any guest. He wasn't a desperate traveler begging for a room. He was the new owner of the hotel chain. And this location? The very property he had secretly purchased just 2 weeks earlier. Marcus stepped outside and dialed his phone. Moments later, a sleek black car pulled up, and out stepped 2 men in suits. They weren't bodyguards, they were his lawyers. The 3 of them walked back inside, their presence immediately shifting the air. Guests turned their heads. The receptionist, Emily, nearly dropped her pen. Marcus approached the counter once again. Clara looked up, annoyed. "I told you, sir." Marcus cut her off, his voice steady but commanding. "Clara Benson, correct?" She blinked. "Yes, why?" Marcus pulled a folded document from his lawyer's briefcase and slid it across the counter. Her eyes scanned the paper, confusion giving way to shock. Her face drained of color. "This," Marcus said, "is the ownership transfer agreement for this hotel. As of 2 weeks ago, I am your employer." The lobby went silent. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Emily's eyes widened, her hand covering her mouth. "The reckoning." Clara stammered. That can't be." But Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The power shift was complete. "I gave you a chance," he said evenly. "I gave you the opportunity to treat me as you treat every other guest. And you failed." Clara looked around, desperate. I didn't mean. But Marcus leaned in closer. Emily told me the truth. There were plenty of rooms. You lied. You discriminated. And you humiliated me in front of everyone. He straightened his suit, his presence now towering over her. As of this moment, you are relieved of your position. Clara's mouth dropped open. You can't do this. Oh, I can, Marcus replied. And I just did. The lesson. The crowd in the lobby began to murmur, some applauding quietly. Guests who had once ignored Marcus now looked at him with newfound respect. Turning to Emily, Marcus gave her a reassuring smile. You stood up, even when you were afraid. That matters. You still have your job. Emily's eyes filled with tears of relief. Marcus then looked back at Clara one last time. This is why integrity matters. Respect matters. You never know who you're talking to, or what power they hold. Just as Clara gathered her things in a trembling rage, the double doors of the lobby swung open. A group of reporters flooded in, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. Mr. Williams, one shouted. Is it true you've bought out the entire hotel chain? And is this the first action you've taken as the new owner? The room exploded in chaos. Flashes, questions, and shocked whispers. Clara froze, realizing her humiliation wasn't just in front of a few guests. It was about to be broadcast everywhere. Marcus adjusted his tie, ready to speak to the cameras. But just before he opened his mouth, a man in a gray suit stepped through the crowd. His presence was commanding, his expression unreadable. Emily whispered, her voice trembling. Wait, isn't that the founder of the hotel chain? What's he doing here? The entire room went silent again. Marcus turned to face him, and what came next would change everything. The cameras flashed wildly in the hotel lobby. Marcus stood tall, his documents still fresh in Clara's trembling hands. He had revealed the truth. He was the new owner of the hotel chain. But just as Marcus prepared to speak, the atmosphere shifted. A man in a gray suit strode in, his shoes echoing like thunder across the marble floor. This was Richard Langford, the founder of the luxury hotel empire. In his early 60s, with silver hair slicked back and piercing blue eyes, Richard was known as a ruthless businessman who built his wealth by crushing his competitors. The crowd hushed. Even Clara, who moments ago was fuming, suddenly looked hopeful. Richard's gaze fixed on Marcus. So, he said slowly, his voice low but sharp, you're the man who thinks he owns my hotel. Marcus didn't flinch. He met Richard's stare head-on. Not think. No. The paperwork is valid. I'm the legal owner now. Richard chuckled, but there was no humor in it. You might have bought the shares. You might even have a piece of paper that says you're in charge. But ownership and power are not the same thing. The crowd murmured. The tension in the air grew thicker. Richard's warning. Richard stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper only Marcus could hear, but the venom in his tone cut deep. You don't belong here. Men like you don't run empires like this. You think one purchase changes the rules? No. I built this place from the ground up. And I won't let you tear it down with your ideals. Marcus's jaw tightened. He understood exactly what Richard meant. The words weren't about business, they were about race. But Marcus didn't let his anger show. Instead, he smiled calmly. Funny, he replied. I thought the point of business was progress. And progress means change. Maybe it's time this empire remembers the value of treating all people with respect. The cameras caught every word. The lobby was alive with whispers, gasps, and shifting loyalties. Clara, still clinging to hope, rushed toward Richard. Mr. Langford, you can't let him do this. He embarrassed me, humiliated me in front of everyone. He's trying to destroy what you built. Richard held up a hand, silencing her instantly. Then, to everyone's shock, he turned back to Marcus with a thin smile. Very well. If you want to run this hotel, prove it. Show me you can handle what's coming next. Marcus raised an eyebrow. And what exactly is that supposed to mean? Richard leaned in, his voice dripping with challenge. You'll find out soon enough. Let's just say, not everyone wants you in this position. And I don't mean me. Before Marcus could respond, Richard straightened and addressed the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "this man may have the paperwork, but I am not convinced he has the strength to lead. Leadership takes more than signatures. It takes resolve. It takes sacrifice." The room buzzed as reporters scribbled furiously. Then Richard did something nobody expected. He extended his hand. "Join me," he said. "Work under me. Learn from me. Maybe one day, you'll be ready." The offer was dripping with condescension. It wasn't mentorship, it was a power play. A way to put Marcus beneath him. Marcus looked at the hand, then back at Richard. "I didn't buy this hotel to be your student," he said firmly. "I bought it to change it." The cameras flashed again, catching every word. Richard's smile faded. For the first time, a flicker of frustration crossed his face. "You'll regret this," he muttered. Marcus stood tall, his voice steady but commanding. "The only thing I'll regret is letting people like you keep others down." The crowd erupted into applause. Even guests who had stayed silent before now openly supported Marcus. Clara's face twisted with rage as she realized her ally was losing ground. But Richard wasn't finished. Richard turned back toward the reporters, his voice booming. "Then let the public decide. Tomorrow morning, I will hold a press conference, and I will reveal the truth about Marcus Williams." Marcus frowned. "What truth?" Richard smirked. "The kind of truth that destroys reputations. Let's see how much respect you command after that." Gasps filled the lobby. Cameras zoomed in on Marcus's face. Marcus clenched his fists. He had worked his whole life to build his name, his reputation. He knew men like Richard always had dirty tricks waiting, fabricated scandals, twisted stories, anything to undermine his dignity. And now, it seemed, the battle wasn't just for ownership of a hotel. It was for his very name. As the crowd dispersed, Emily rushed to Marcus's side, her voice trembling. "Sir, you don't understand. I overheard Richard on the phone earlier. He's planning something big. Something that could ruin you." Marcus turned to her sharply. "What did you hear?" Emily's lips trembled. "He said he has evidence, and once it's out, no one will believe you're the man you say you are." Marcus froze. Was Richard bluffing, or did he truly have something that could bring everything crashing down? Before Marcus could answer, his phone buzzed. A single text lit up the screen. It read, "We know your secret. Meet us tonight, or tomorrow will be the end of you." Marcus's breath caught in his chest. He looked up, scanning the room. Someone was watching him. TOB continued. Please subscribe for part 2.